From the time that I got up from my seat in the Wells Fargo Center, which, by the way, I got very good seats, you'll see in the Extreme Rules vlog video coming on Wednesday. From the time that I got up to when I was walking out of the Wells Fargo Center, got in the car, had a 2-hour ride home. When I got home, I took a shower. I argued with a lot of social media lowlives that don't deserve the oxygen that we breathe. I laid my head down to sleep. I got up. I had breakfast. I argued with a couple more fucking idiots. And throughout that entire time, from the moment that I got up from my seat in the Wells Fargo Center to the time that I sat down in this seat, I was contemplating what I wanted to say before I pressed record. I have nothing. I genuinely have nothing, and I genuinely don't know what to say, so I'm going to go based off of instinct, and I'm going to say the first things that pop into my head. I'm going to try not to scream too much because I was screaming a lot last night, and I really want to preserve my voice. I want to preserve my voice for tomorrow when I celebrate my 2-year anniversary with Tyson and Bree. I don't know where to begin, but if I was to give you one takeaway from last night at Extreme Rules, it's the fact that WWE gave us the answer to the question, will there be any change coming? And WWE responded with a brutally emphatic no. Nothing's going to change. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are starting this week as executive directors of both Raw and SmackDown. Doesn't matter. Shane McMahon will more than likely be written off of television after SummerSlam. Doesn't matter. AEW is most likely going to put on the best pay-per-view of the year at All Out on August 31st and go into their weekly television program on TNT on Wednesday nights in October. All guns blazing. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. As long as there is still air in the lungs of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, as long as there's still blood pumping through his veins, as long as that 75-year-old devil's heart still has a beat, there will be no change. Doesn't matter what. There's going to be no change whatsoever until that man is 6 feet under in a graveyard, until the angel of death comes down from the heavens and claims the soul of Vince McMahon. Nothing is going to get better. Doesn't matter what happens. The only way things are going to get better is when Vince McMahon dies. That's it. And do you want to know what's even more pitiful and pathetic? That there's going to be people, and there has been people, and a lot of them, who are going to tweet me, and people like me, and tell me what's what, and try and educate me. Me! Of all people. You're going to try and educate me. Listen up, you bastards. It's time for you to sit there, shut your fucking mouths, and listen while I educate you. I don't care who you are. I genuinely don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a fuck if you're a fan of mine. I don't give a fuck if you're someone who can't stand the sight of me. I don't give a fuck if you're a friend. I don't give a fuck if you're a family member. I don't give a fuck if you are a United States Marine, if you're the First Lady, if you're the President of the United States, if you're the Chancellor of Germany. I don't care if you're the demigod Perseus, Zeus, Buddha, St. Pope John Paul II, or Jesus Christ. If you are going to try to defend the majority of what was done last night at Extreme Rules, you are an absolute fucking idiot. You do not deserve to be anywhere near wrestling-related material, and you do not deserve the rights to life. You do not deserve the rights to life, and I will take this to the grave. I will die by this sword. I will die by this sword. If you are going to defend the mediocrity that we saw last night at Extreme Rules, you do not deserve the rights to life, and I don't give a fuck about you. You can step in front of a bus and jump off a bridge for all I care. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Extreme Rules was a extremely disappointing event. I was there live in attendance, and I would be lying to you. I'm not going to be a fucking idiot here. I am going to be fair. Did I enjoy myself? Yes. Yes, I enjoyed myself. I would be lying to you if I said I didn't enjoy myself. But now I have to come back down to reality and carefully analyze what was done last night, and what we got was not a good show at all. If you're going to rate this show a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, a 9 out of 10, you're a fucking moron. You're an absolute fucking moron. You are blinded by your own fandom, clearly. There was much more bad than there was good last night at Extreme Rules, and I am going to go over each and every single thing that happened last night at Extreme Rules, especially that ending. If you, in any way, shape, or form, I don't care who you are, whether you're a fan of Brock Lesnar or not, there is no excuse and there is no defense for the ending of Extreme Rules last night at the Wells Fargo Center. There is no defense and excuse. I don't care if you're a fan of Brock Lesnar. I don't care if you are a family member of Brock Lesnar. There is no defense. There is absolutely no fucking defense. Who am I? Who am I, you say? Who am I, you say? My name is DJ Storms. They call me Mr. Controversy and the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. I am a wrestling fucking analytical mastermind. And this is the rewind for Extreme Rules 2019. But of course, you already knew that. Oh, by the way, there was some people, I actually lost a couple of followers saying, Oh, you're so negative. All you're doing is shitting on opinions. You know, the same old generic garbage. Then I got this one. This was my favorite one. Oh, you're not professional. Professional? You do realize that professionalism is an oxymoron, right? Professionalism is another way of saying, I don't speak the truth. Professionalism is another way of saying, I don't say and do the things that need to be said and done. Professionalism is another way of saying, I am politically correct. I will never be professional. I'm never going to be politically correct, and I will always say the things that need to be said and do the things that need to be done. If you can't handle it, it's not my problem. I'm so negative. The world's full of negativity. Negativity is another way of saying reality. Negativity is reality. The fact of the matter is that Extreme Rules was a subpar show. Perhaps it might have been the worst show of the year. May have been the worst main roster pay-per-view of the year. Probably right next to Super Showdown. If Super Showdown never took place, Extreme Rules would have been the worst pay-per-view of the year. Did it have good moments? Yes, it had good moments sprinkled in here and there. But the majority of what we saw last night was not good. And you know something? From the time that the first pre-show match started to the time that the third main show match ended, that hour and 40-minute period, that 2-hour period, the show was actually shaping up to be pretty decent. I am not going to lie. But what did WWE do? WWE managed to do what WWE typically does with every main roster pay-per-view. They always do something or some things that end up fucking it up in the end and bringing the show down. WWE, every single chance they have to do something good, they fucked it up. Just like last night. They fucked it up. Oh, and by the way, before we get into the matches, there is no excuse that you have an hour-long pre-show with 2 matches on it, and neither of those 2 matches go over 8 minutes. That is no excuse. If you're going to have 2 pre-show matches on the pre-show, then cut the analytics. Cut the bullshit analytics. You've done enough promoting for the matches, and focus on the wrestling. There is no excuse why those 2 pre-show matches should have gone shorter than 8 minutes. There is no excuse why those 2 pre-show matches shouldn't have gone at least 13 to 14 minutes. Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura started off the show for the Intercontinental Championship. These 2 men, just 1 year ago, coming up on 3 years ago, excuse me. Coming up on 3 years ago, this month, put on a half-hour classic on NXT television. A half-hour classic on NXT television. Here they are on the Extreme Rules pre-show, and they don't even go 8 minutes. Talk about poor fucking treatment. This wasn't a bad match. This really wasn't a bad match. But the fact of the matter is that it could have been great if these guys had gotten more time. It wasn't a bad match. But these guys are worth so much more than 7 minutes and 40 seconds of an Intercontinental Championship match on the pre-show. Finn Balor. Finn Balor has had a terrible reign as Intercontinental Champion, which is not his fault. People are actually calling for him to lose the title. You know, I've seen people do this all the time. Every single time a title reign is boring, people always call for the person to lose the title immediately. You do realize it's not Finn Balor's fault, right? Finn Balor hasn't been used for the majority of his Intercontinental Championship run. He was off television at least 6 weeks. 6 weeks during his entire Intercontinental Championship title run. The problem is WWE management. The problem is that WWE doesn't know how to book their champions with interest. Finn Balor's Intercontinental Championship reign is no different than Bayley's SmackDown Live Women's Championship title reign. Bayley's SmackDown Live Women's Championship title reign is no different than Kofi Kingston's WWE title reign. Kofi Kingston's WWE title reign is no different than Seth Rollins' Universal title reign. WWE main roster management doesn't know how to book their champions legitimately. They don't know how to book their champions with excitement and interest. You do realize that people are most likely going to be saying the same shit as they did with Finn Balor with Shinsuke Nakamura. People are going to be saying the same shit with Shinsuke Nakamura in a matter of weeks. It makes no difference of who holds the title. It could be Finn Balor, Andrade, Shinsuke Nakamura. It doesn't matter who holds the title. It doesn't matter who holds the Universal title, whether it's Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, or Drake Maverick. It doesn't matter. It's the same shit. I have no problem with Shinsuke Nakamura winning the title. I'm happy for Shinsuke Nakamura. I really am. Because the guy deserves it. The guy deserves so much more than what he's been given. Especially when he first came up. The guy was worthy of a world title run when he first came up. Never mind a ordinary United States or Intercontinental Championship reign. But the fact of the matter is that they pretty much tossed him over to the side and made him an afterthought. Same thing with Finn Balor. Even as champion, Finn Balor never got the proper recognition that he deserves. Finn Balor didn't do anything with it outside of a great match with Andrade at Super Showdown. That was it. More likely than not, I wouldn't even be surprised if Shinsuke Nakamura is taken off of television and he doesn't even show up until the last week before SummerSlam as Intercontinental Champion. Wouldn't even be surprised. Finn Balor hit the Sling Blade on Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura countered the shotgun dropkick with a huge single leg dropkick to the face. Shinsuke Nakamura went for the Kinshasa. Balor hit the double stomp, brutal double stomp. He hit the dropkick into the corner and went for the coup de grace. Nakamura dodged the coup de grace. Nakamura hit a Kinshasa right to the back and then hit a second Kinshasa on Finn Balor. Shinsuke Nakamura wins his first Intercontinental Championship. Decent match, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. Could have been a hell of a lot better. I don't really know where Shinsuke goes from here. I don't know what happens to Finn Balor. More than likely, Finn Balor could very well get drafted. He could very well join Gallows, Anderson, and AJ. And if that's the case, okay. But at the end of the day, I don't trust the WWE to actually make that faction interesting. I don't. Cruiserweight Championship match between Tony Nese and Drew Gulak. This was Drew Gulak's first title defense. Again, another match. Didn't even go 8 minutes. How are you going to have Tony Nese and Drew Gulak on the pre-show for the Cruiserweight Championship? How are you going to have two title matches on this show, not even go 8 minutes? How pathetic is that? This was, again, another decent match, but it could have been great if they gave him time. But knowing WWE, they got to get all their bullshit analytics in on the pre-show, and they cut the match short. Drew Gulak hit a diving clothesline off the apron in the beginning portions of this match. There was a nice spot where Tony Nese had Drew Gulak draped out on the ropes, and he did a springboard moonsault off of the metal rod that held the post and the turnbuckle in place, and he did a springboard moonsault to Gulak on the apron. Tony Nese landed to the floor, back into the ring. Tony Nese was trying to fight out of Gulak's grasp. He ended up catching a powerbomb, and Tony Nese kicked out. Gulak hit a huge lariat. Tony Nese kicked out again, and then finally Drew Gulak finished it off with the torture rack neck breaker, and Drew Gulak retains the Cruiserweight Championship. I can see Drew Gulak going on to face Humberto Carrillo at SummerSlam. Hopefully that match will get more time. Hopefully that match will shine a lot more than Tony Nese and Drew Gulak did at the Extreme Rules pre-show. No excuse. No excuse why those two matches, two title matches, should have gone under 8 minutes. No excuse whatsoever. The main show kicked off with The Undertaker and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon in a no-holds-barred match. You all know how I feel about Roman Reigns. He's a complete fucking flop as a babyface. Complete fucking flop. The Undertaker has lost his appeal. Shane McMahon is absolutely fucking garbage. Drew McIntyre is the only person in that match that really has any legitimacy and really should be in a world title picture. But for what this match was actually not that bad. It was fairly entertaining. I actually enjoyed it. I think we can all agree that this match was fairly entertaining for what it was. The Undertaker actually looked pretty good in this match. Undertaker was doing his normal shit, the old school, the punches in the corner. We had Shane McMahon actually do his diving elbow drop through the table after Elias actually came out and got involved, hit The Undertaker in the back with a guitar. Shane McMahon did the normal Shane McMahon elbow drop through the table. Then we had a trash can become a factor in this match, and the trash can was set up in the corner with The Undertaker. Shane McMahon hit a coast-to-coast with the trash can to The Undertaker. Roman Reigns was taken out by Drew McIntyre with a Russian leg sweep on the outside, and just as Shane McMahon was about to pin The Undertaker sat up. Undertaker sat up, and The Undertaker did a chokeslam to Shane McMahon, chokeslammed him into oblivion, chokeslammed Elias into oblivion for his troubles. Then he was going to do his signature throat slit, and as he was doing his signature throat slit, Drew McIntyre came up, as if he was coming up from the depths of hell, came up, resurfaced his face on camera, and he was getting ready to hit the Claymore on The Undertaker while The Undertaker was doing his throat slit before Roman Reigns hit him with the spear. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I love that little detail. Me personally, I love that little detail. In the end, Shane McMahon was the recipient of a tombstone pile driver, and The Undertaker and Roman Reigns win this no-holds-barred tag team match. It did what it needed to do. It was entertaining for what it was. They got it out of the way at the beginning of the show. Hopefully this means Shane McMahon will be written off of television after SummerSlam. Where Roman Reigns and The Undertaker go, I don't know. I truthfully hope The Undertaker is going to retire after this year, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know how WWE is going to keep The Undertaker around for as long as he's going to stay around. The guy literally needs to retire. The guy needs to retire. The guy needs to relax. Let the guy enjoy the rest of his life. He doesn't need to go in the ring anymore. He doesn't need to take up a spot from people who should be in the main event picture, like Drew McIntyre. He doesn't need to take away spots from Finn Balor. He doesn't need to take away spots from anyone. Let the guy retire already. Where Roman Reigns goes, I don't know. I have a bad feeling that they're going to put Roman Reigns in the WWE Championship picture against Kofi Kingston. God help us. God fucking help us. The Revival versus the Usos for the Raw Tag Team titles. This followed the no-holds-barred tag team match. This was actually a fairly good tag team match. Of course, we were going to have the Revival and the Usos, two of the best tag teams in the world. You know, you can't really take anything away from either team. Both of those teams worked their asses off in that match. Both of those teams showed you why they deserve to be in the tag team title picture, and the right team won. I was actually genuinely shocked that the Revival won. I wouldn't have been surprised if the Usos took the win against the Revival. But this was actually a fairly good tag team match. The Usos hit their double planches over the top rope near the beginning of this match. The Revival doing what the Revival normally do, wearing down the Usos. Then Uso got the hot tag to his brother, I believe it was Jay, who made the tag to Jimmy. Jimmy was lighting up Scott Dawson. We then had Jay, I believe it was, do a double whisper in the wind, taking out both members of the Revival. Then we had a super kick party. We had super kick city for the Usos. They were going to do another suicide dive to, I believe it was Dash. They were going to do a double suicide dive on Dash. But Scott Dawson picked out the leg from underneath Jimmy and took out Jimmy on the outside. Dash came back into the ring. He made the tag to Dawson, and they hit the Shatter Machine, and the Revival retain the Raw Tag Team titles. Fairly good tag team match. I enjoyed it. I think those two teams did a very good job at following the No Holds Barred tag team match. The Revival, right team to win. I can definitely see the Revival going into SummerSlam and facing off against possibly the Viking Raiders and Gallows and Anderson in a triple threat tag team match. Or maybe we get a fatal four-way, including the Usos. But regardless, very good tag team match for what it was. The Revival get the win. Aleister Black versus Cesaro. This was a very, very good match. Hard-hitting as fuck. I absolutely love this match from start to finish. These two guys poured their heart and soul into this match that realistically didn't mean anything, but they really made it feel important. So much so that it actually got a "This is awesome" chant. Cesaro is an absolute freak of nature. Cesaro's an absolute freak of nature. I absolutely love everything that Cesaro does. The story of this match was Cesaro's leg. So Aleister Black was really working on the leg of Cesaro for the majority of this matchup. There was a point in this matchup, I believe it was midway through, where Aleister Black went for a Meteora. He hit one Meteora in the beginning of the matchup, and then he was going for a second Meteora. Cesaro caught him, and he held him by his knees. Cesaro held him by his knees and tossed him up into the air into a Swiss uppercut. Looked absolutely beautiful. That was one of the best spots of the entire match. Aleister Black then kicked out. Aleister Black then rolled Cesaro into a knee bar, but Cesaro was able to counter into a sharpshooter. Aleister Black was able to get to the ropes, and then those two started exchanging strikes. Aleister Black started kicking Cesaro in the chest, and Cesaro just started lighting up Aleister Black with a right uppercut, then a left uppercut, then a right uppercut, and a left uppercut. It looked fucking brutal. I would not want to be in the receiving end of one of Cesaro's uppercuts. I think that if I am, my chin will go flying into the third row. These two ended up exchanging strikes, and Aleister Black actually won this striking exchange with a kick to the leg, a kick to the shoulder, and then he hit the Black Mass spinning heel kick. Beautiful sequence. Aleister Black defeats Cesaro in what was perhaps the best match of the night. Hard-hitting as hell. I loved every minute of it. And Aleister Black showcased to you why he should be in the main event. Aleister Black showcased to you why he is going to be a world champion. Matter of fact, I wouldn't even be surprised if Aleister Black takes the title off of Shinsuke Nakamura in the fall of 2019. After that, this is where the show started to go downhill. After Aleister Black Cesaro, this show started to go downhill. It started off decent. The first 5 matches were actually fairly decent and very good. But after that, show started to go downhill. Then we had the handicap match between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss taking on Bayley for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. This handicap match was completely generic, completely fucking boring. There was absolutely no buzz and no interest behind this match whatsoever. The best part about this match was when Bayley had Nikki Cross in a reverse figure 4, and then she locked in a crossface on Alexa Bliss. That was the best portion of this match. Outside of that one spot, match meant nothing. Match was used as a cool-down match, and I was hoping that was probably going to be the only cool-down match of the night, but based on the rest of the show, boy was I wrong. So after that, Alexa Bliss was taken out of the equation. Nikki Cross was still locked in the reverse figure 4. Alexa Bliss took out Bayley and broke up the submission. Nikki Cross hit a swinging neck breaker, and then she set up Bayley. She set up Bayley for Alexa Bliss and the Twisted Bliss. Bayley got the knees up. Alexa Bliss was taken out of the equation. Nikki Cross tagged herself in. Nikki Cross was the legal participant. Nikki Cross was on the receiving end of I think it was a Bayley to belly. I don't know if she did a Bayley to belly. I wasn't even paying attention. I was actually had my head in my phone for the majority of this match. But she put Nikki Cross down, and Nikki Cross was down on the mat. went up to the top, hit the Macho Man elbow drop. Bayley defeats Nikki Cross clean. She defeats Nikki Cross and Bayley clean as a whistle, as she should. Can we please give Bayley someone legitimate and someone that can bring her to a great match? Because Bayley's entire SmackDown Live Women's Championship reign has been a waste of time. The woman is absolutely worthless as SmackDown Live Women's Champion, and it isn't even her fault. She's just about as worthless as Drake Maverick and his 24/7 title reign. I hope to God, I'm praying to the wrestling gods that we get Ember Moon and Bayley at SummerSlam. If you want a legitimate women's program, if you want to stack SummerSlam up to be a fantastic event, you give us you give us Bayley and Ember Moon for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. That is the best match that you could possibly do for the SmackDown Live Women's division. End of story. Bayley retains the title. After that, we had Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley in a last man standing match. I'm going to say this. I hate Braun Strowman and I hate Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is an absolute waste of time, and I hope to God that the rumors of him leaving are true. Braun Strowman, complete waste of time. WWE completely missed the boat with Braun Strowman, and I don't think Braun Strowman's ever going to recover from what WWE did to him. But for what this was not terrible. This wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. They started fighting in the crowd almost immediately. Bobby Lashley hit the stairs, or used the stairs to hit Braun Strowman into the crowd, and they started brawling up into the stands. We then had a portion where Bobby Lashley was looking to suplex Braun Strowman in the concessions area, but Braun Strowman did a suplex to Bobby Lashley right against the merchandise wall, and I swear to God, Bobby Lashley was almost dropped right on his neck with that spot. If Bobby Lashley would have landed on his neck, I swear to God, he would have been paralyzed. Bobby Lashley would have been fucking paralyzed, and they would have had to end the match right then and there. Absolutely fucking brutal. Then we get taken back to the arena. They were taken down the stands again. Braun Strowman did his normal Braun Strowman shoulder tackle to Bobby Lashley in the crowd. We then had Braun Strowman get speared by Bobby Lashley through the barricade. So they were in the crowd, and Bobby Lashley speared Braun Strowman from the crowd portion of the barricade, through the barricade, onto the in-ring portion. Then these guys were taken off to the other end of the arena, where Bobby Lashley actually got tossed into the Japanese announce team. They were then taken up into the stands again, and Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman were in the stands, and I was getting flashbacks to when Seth Rollins jumped off of the stands at Extreme Rules 2014 when I was at the Izod Center during the matchup with Evolution. They were high up, and Bobby Lashley was on the receiving end of a power slam from Braun Strowman off of the stage through a wooden setup at the bottom. They went through, and Braun Strowman ended up bashing himself out through the other side. Braun Strowman made it to his feet, and Braun Strowman won the last man standing match. Where Braun Strowman goes from here, I don't know. I truthfully don't care. I truthfully hope Braun Strowman goes away, so that way he'll go away for a few months. That way he'll come back, he'll get put on SmackDown, and that way he'll get some fresh feuds, hopefully have a career resurgence. Bobby Lashley, there is no saving Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley realistically needs to get the fuck out of WWE because he's a waste of a payroll and he adds nothing. Bobby Lashley is one of those people that brings the shows down rather than enhances the shows. And truthfully, Bobby Lashley is one of those people who is taking up a spot from someone who actually deserves it. That was pretty much that. From that, we went into the SmackDown Live triple threat match for the SmackDown Live tag team titles. Eric Rowan and Daniel Bryan defending against Big E and Xavier, defending against Heavy Machinery. I'm going to tell you this right now. This was an absolutely fantastic match. This was a fantastic triple threat match. But the wrong people won. This was a fantastic triple threat match. It had everything. It had a lot of excitement. It had a lot of entertainment. But the wrong people won. I genuinely don't understand what the obsession is with the New Day. The New Day, right now, as we speak, the New Day, outside of Braun Strowman, the New Day is the most boring and stale gimmick in WWE right now. The New Day gimmick has run its course. The New Day gimmick ran its course after 2016. I don't understand why they didn't break up the New Day after they lost the tag team titles to Sheamus and Cesaro back at Roadblock end of the line. I genuinely don't understand what is so hard about putting the titles on other teams rather than the same two people over and over again. The New Day winning the titles here was perhaps one of the dumbest decisions of the night, outside of Brock Lesnar winning the Universal title again. What does this mean? Bryan and Rowan barely had the titles for 2 months. Bryan and Rowan barely had the titles for 2 months, and this would have been a perfect opportunity to build up Heavy Machinery even more. Why did Big E and Xavier Woods get the pin on the SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions when in reality, Daniel Bryan should have been the one to get the pin on either Big E or Xavier? They would have pinned the New Day. They would have written the New Day out of the tag team title hunt. Meanwhile, Heavy Machinery pleads their case. Hey, you didn't beat us at Extreme Rules. You didn't beat us. Thus, setting up a rematch at SummerSlam and winning the titles does Heavy Machinery. Simple as that. I don't understand what is so hard about that. I don't understand what is so hard about trusting people from NXT. This match only proved that nobody from NXT is going to be trusted by anyone, specifically Vince McMahon, in main roster management. They're not going to cater to anyone but their favorites. All of the New Day are champions. How long is this going to last? I hope not long. I hope to God that it's only leading to the New Day dropping the titles, and the New Day are going to be transitional champions. The New Day face off against Heavy Machinery at SummerSlam, and Heavy Machinery wins the titles. That's all I can hope for. That's genuinely all I can hope for. I don't understand what the obsession is with constantly favoring the New Day. The New Day, again, I will state again, outside of Braun Strowman, is the most boring, stale gimmick that the WWE has. The New Day should have broken up well before WrestleMania 35. Why do you think Kofi is still not perceived as a serious, legitimate threat as WWE Champion? Because the guy's still gyrating his hips and flinging pancakes out into the crowd. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. Kofi Kingston should have been that underdog babyface in the main event scene going into WrestleMania 35, and they should have gone on. And they, meaning Big E and Xavier Woods. Big E should have gone on to have a strong heel run. Big E versus Kofi Kingston could have been a Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano-like feud. Xavier Woods could have gone to 205 Live. Xavier Woods could have shined on his own on 205 Live. He could have been putting on classics with Tony Nese, Gulak, Carrillo, Oney Lorcan, among others. I genuinely don't understand why we have to revert back to the same fucking shit over and over again. And this was just one of the cases where, again, WWE said to you, no, there is absolutely no change coming. There is no change coming whatsoever. It was a great match. Don't get me wrong. It was a great match. Probably one of the best matches of the night. Probably the first or second best match of the night, depending on how you look at it. But the wrong people won. Bryan and Rowan should have retained, and we should have gotten Bryan and Rowan going into SummerSlam to face off against Heavy Machinery. I genuinely feel bad for Heavy Machinery. I genuinely feel bad for Heavy Machinery. And anyone who tries to justify this decision, I do not want to fucking hear it from you. I genuinely do not want to fucking hear it from you, because you do not deserve to be anywhere near professional wrestling related material if you can't decipher the fact that the New Day winning offers no excitement whatsoever. And if you are excited, you're probably the most gullible bastard walking the face of the planet. Plain and simple. But for what this was actually a very good tag team match. We had Big E and Xavier Woods on the receiving end of a beatdown from Daniel Bryan and Rowan. Xavier Woods eventually made the tag to Otis. Otis was lighting up Daniel Bryan. He hit the Caterpillar. We then had Big E get the hot tag from Otis, I believe. And Otis was taken out of the equation momentarily. Big E hit a diving spear through the ropes on Daniel Bryan. Those men were taken to the floor. Otis was going for a suicide dive. Otis looked like he was setting up for a suicide dive, but instead he ran to the ropes, he calmly walked out of the ropes, and then he just did a small jump off the apron. That was actually funny. I laughed at that. Tucker then came up from the top rope, and Tucker did a huge crossbody, taking out the entire field on the outside. We then had Big E do a double powerbomb to Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery was taken out of the equation. Daniel Bryan made the blind tag on Eric Rowan. Daniel Bryan did a headbutt from the top on Big E, and then he locked him in the yes lock. And then when Big E tried to reach for the ropes, he pulled the arm back and he locked him in a modified Fujiwara armbar. And then when Big E tried to use his leg, he pulled Big E's leg back into an armbar leg lock hold at the same time. So when you watch Daniel Bryan in the ring, he is very, very, very technically sound. Probably one of the best technically sound wrestlers that you have in the WWE. A fantastic submission specialist. Phenomenal submission specialist. That's why I love Daniel Bryan so much. Even as a heel, he knows how to work a body part. He knows how to work a limb. He genuinely knows how to work a match to a point where it's believable that the person on the receiving end of his submission holds is legitimately in pain and they could tap out at any moment. Every type of submission hold that Daniel Bryan does looks like it legitimately hurts. Props to Daniel Bryan on that. Big E eventually got to the ropes, and he was on the receiving end of some yes kicks from Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan was pretty much not affecting Big E at all. So he was kicking Big E, and it didn't affect him at all. And then all of a sudden, he did the normal Daniel Bryan moonsault out of the corner. He was caught, and then a tag to Xavier Woods. They hit the midnight hour, and the New Day are the new tag team champions. Wrong decision, completely unnecessary. Probably one of the worst decisions of the night outside of Brock Lesnar, like I stated. I don't know where this goes. I just hope the New Day are going to lose the titles ASAP. And I genuinely feel bad for Heavy Machinery that WWE doesn't trust them. They genuinely don't trust them. I don't really know what else to say on that matter. If you're going to blatantly support the New Day winning this, you are absolutely fucking stupid. I'm going to say this again. You are absolutely fucking stupid. You do not have any say as far as this goes. The New Day winning was a stupid fucking decision. Blatant stupid. It just goes to show you that WWE doesn't cater to anyone else other than the favorites that they have at the top. So then afterwards, Paul Heyman came out, and obviously he was going to be a mega babyface because it's Extreme Rules, and obviously he invented ECW and all that other bullshit. And he teased a cash-in for Brock Lesnar, either on Kofi Kingston or Seth Rollins. And to me, I was thinking, there's no way it's going to happen. There's legitimately no way it's going to happen. And especially after what he said in the end, everyone with a brain would have thought that, yeah, there's no way Brock Lesnar's showing up. Am I telling the truth, or am I just Paul Heyman? Drops the mic and leaves. At that rate, I was ready to write off Brock Lesnar completely. We had Ricochet and AJ Styles for the United States Championship. This wasn't a bad match. It was actually a fairly decent match, but at the end of the day, I feel as though these guys were held down. I feel as though WWE kept these guys down. It genuinely reminded me of when Kevin Owens faced off against AJ Styles for the United States Championship 2 years ago at Battleground in 2017. That match was slow-paced, it felt boring at times, and it felt like these guys were held down and handcuffed by WWE because they didn't want them to outshine a couple of things and a couple of matches on the show. It was a waste of time. Kevin Owens and AJ Styles legitimately was one of the worst matches on Battleground's card. Ricochet and AJ Styles, it wasn't as bad. It wasn't a bad match. It was a fairly decent match, but I feel as though these guys were held down and handcuffed to a point where, they were told not to outshine a couple of matches on the show. It's ridiculous. Why are you going to hold down Ricochet and AJ Styles on a pay-per-view? Whether it's a D level, a C level, a B level, an F level pay-per-view or not. This is still a pay-per-view. When it comes to pay-per-views, you want to put your best foot forward no matter what. No matter what fucking pay-per-view it is, you want to make sure that the pay-per-view that you are putting on is the most talked about pay-per-view of the year. You take a look at Triple H, and with every single takeover, he never treats a takeover as if it's a throwaway show. Even though some takeovers are more than likely seem like throwaway shows, like TakeOver 25, more than likely, TakeOver 25 was put together in 3 weeks for NXT. More than likely, NXT TakeOver 25 was pretty much booked on weekly television to be a throwaway show, but when we watched the show, it was a fantastic show. Same thing with Extreme Rules. You want to put your best foot forward with any pay-per-view that you put on, no matter what. I said this before, if you're not going to put effort into your weekly shows, at least put some fucking effort into your pay-per-views, man. Seriously. How is it that we can get excited? How is it that we're going to get excited about a Ricochet AJ Styles match? You're going to put Ricochet and AJ Styles on for the 3rd time in 3 weeks after you already killed the specialness of Ricochet and AJ Styles, and then you don't even let them out of the 2nd or 3rd gear. You don't let them go all the way. You don't let them go all out. Whether it's a build-up to SummerSlam or whether they were handcuffed. I don't give a shit. This is a championship match on a pay-per-view. If you are having a championship match on a pay-per-view, it doesn't matter what championship match it is, you want to make sure that that title match is the most talked about title match, no matter what fucking title it is. Ricochet and AJ Styles, 2 of the best in the world. And these guys were held down. And on top of that, the wrong man won here. The wrong man won. And I was thinking to myself before the main event, who the fuck does Seth Rollins face now? But then after what happened, now I know why. If you were going to do AJ Styles and Ricochet at SummerSlam again, why didn't you have Ricochet retain here? Why didn't you have Ricochet hold the title for another month, and then you could have given it to AJ Styles at SummerSlam? Could have given it to AJ Styles at SummerSlam, and then you could have had Gallows and Anderson walk out of SummerSlam with the tag team titles. All 3 members of the club would have held the titles. What was so hard about that? You gave AJ Styles the United States Championship. You gave AJ Styles this moment on a subpar pay-per-view like Extreme Rules. Why is it that AJ is in the United States Championship picture, and he's United States Champion again, when in reality he should realistically be facing Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the Universal Championship? Why is Ricochet losing the United States title after only a 3-week reign after he defeated Samoa Joe to win it, when in reality Ricochet should have been the guy to hold the title all the way into Survivor Series to have a champion versus champion match with either Nakamura or Aleister Black? How is it that I can book a better storyline going into the fall of 2019 within seconds, but yet WWE has all this time? WWE has weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and they can't even give us a halfway decent show. That includes pay-per-views and weekly shows on the main roster. It wasn't a bad match, but the wrong person won, and it wasn't even as good as it could have been. I genuinely don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Why are you going to handcuff Ricochet and AJ Styles when it is a pay-per-view and it is a top-tier championship match? It could have realistically been the best match of the night if you would have let these guys go all out. I don't get it. Ricochet did his normal step-up kick off the chest of AJ Styles and then an enziguri. We had Ricochet doing what Ricochet normally does, the enziguri in the corner and the springboard clothesline. We had AJ Styles do a lifting reverse DDT to Ricochet, spiked him into the mat. We had a good sequence where AJ was going tit for tat with AJ was going tit for tat with Ricochet with the strikes. Ricochet hit a swinging neck breaker on AJ Styles, and then AJ Styles was picked up by Ricochet, and AJ Styles countered into the brainbuster for a 2 count. Ricochet hit the shooting star press on AJ Styles. Beautiful shooting star press, but AJ Styles got his foot on the bottom rope. Ricochet was going to go for the 630. Carl Anderson was distracting the ref when Luke Gallows tripped up Ricochet's legs, and Ricochet was dropped crotch first on the turnbuckle. And then AJ Styles hit, and now this was probably the best spot of the match. AJ Styles hit a inverted Styles clash. He picked up Ricochet, and Ricochet and AJ Styles, they were facing the turnbuckle. Normally when AJ Styles does a Styles clash off the middle rope, he faces the ring, but he was facing the turnbuckle, and AJ Styles jumped backwards into a Styles clash on Ricochet. AJ Styles pins Ricochet. AJ Styles is a 3-time United States champion. Just when you thought that Ricochet was being booked correctly, just when you thought that Ricochet was going to finally get what he deserves on the main roster, what does WWE do? WWE has him lose the title in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And what does it tell you? That AJ Styles, of all people, AJ Styles needs help and needs interference from Gallows and Anderson. Why is it that whenever heels are booked in a match, and it doesn't even have to be a championship match, it could be any fucking match. Why is it that when heels are booked in matches, they always have to fucking cheat to win? Why is it that they always have to cheat to win? Do you realize how much credibility that kills for the heel? And especially if he's winning a championship. Do you realize how much credibility that kills for the championship? Why do you think I hated Miz when he was the Intercontinental Champion? Because all he did was cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat, killing the legitimacy of his Intercontinental Championship reign. You take a look at some of the heels in NXT. Shayna Baszler, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen Dream when he was a heel, Adam Cole. They have all won clean in NXT. They can easily win because they were the better person in that match on said night against whoever it may be at that said show. Why is it that whenever the main roster is booking heels, why is it that the heels always have to cheat to win? That is a tired, boring, lame fucking concept. Especially when it's AJ Styles of all people. AJ Styles has beaten plenty of people clean as a heel before. Why couldn't he have done it here? Even though he shouldn't have won the title, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have AJ Styles win the title, AJ Styles is a heel, why not have him win the title clean? So that way, it will be legitimate. Now Ricochet has an excuse, and more than likely we're going to get another matchup at SummerSlam between the two after the specialness and the uniqueness of Ricochet and AJ Styles has been fucking destroyed. Destroyed! Ricochet lost the United States title to AJ Styles. Not a bad match, but at the end of the day, what did it mean? It meant nothing, and it killed AJ Styles' credibility as a heel because AJ Styles has been booked into a position. Now he has Gallows and Anderson, and now they're going to help AJ Styles cheat to win. Whenever WWE has heels on the main roster, they always got to cheat to win. You realize how much that really kills the overall storyline as well? It's a tired fucking concept. It's a tired fucking concept, and it needs to be fucking abolished. Once in a while isn't a crime when it comes to cheating for the heels, but if you're going to have a fucking heel, and it's not just AJ, they do it with all the fucking heels on the main roster. If you're going to have a fucking heel cheat to win every fucking time, it gets tired, it gets old, it gets boring, and it gets very fucking frustrating to watch. And I have become very fucking frustrated watching heels who could be legitimate fucking threats, especially like AJ Styles, and they're booked to cheat to win. An interference on the outside, feet on the ropes, a hook of the tights. I don't get it. Then we had Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler slapped Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens hit the stunner and pinned Dolph Ziggler for the 1-2-3 in about 15 seconds. I was getting ready to record the match, and before I could even press record, Owens hit the stunner, and that was it. I literally blinked, and it was over. And then afterwards, Owens cut a promo on Shane McMahon, saying that Shane McMahon can go to hell, yada, 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 obviously building towards a possible matchup between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon at SummerSlam, more than likely. That was pretty much that. Owens pretty much squashes Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler comes back, and Dolph Ziggler hasn't won one fucking match since he's been back. What was the point of bringing Dolph Ziggler back if you were just going to have him lose? It's just another case of Dolph Ziggler buying into the money, and Dolph Ziggler being blinded by the money that WWE's feeding him, and Dolph Ziggler becoming lazy and complacent with his booking. But Dolph Ziggler went to the Indies. Dolph Ziggler could have became a major fucking star. But at this rate, I don't even think that if the Indies were to achieve Dolph Ziggler, I don't even think it would be that much of an accomplishment at the end of the day. I really don't. Before I fucking continue, do you want to know how much I legitimately did not give a fuck about this show? And I legitimately did not give a fuck about this review. I genuinely didn't even want to do this review. I'm not even going to lie. I literally stopped it to make myself a sandwich. I literally stopped to fucking make myself a sandwich, which is actually very good, by the way. Definitely satisfies a hell of a lot more than Extreme Tools. Now you know my passion for this fucking piece of garbage pay-per-view. It's actually good Gatorade as well. Let's continue. Samoa Joe and Kofi Kingston. What does it tell you that this match didn't even go 10 minutes? This match didn't even go 10 minutes. It's a complete waste of time. The fact that Kofi Kingston has been put into a position in which he's still flinging fucking pancakes, still gyrating his hips, and skip clapping, and he's the WWE Champion, proves to you that WWE legitimately doesn't give a fuck about Kofi Kingston. They legitimately don't give a fuck about the prestige of the WWE Championship, and they made Samoa Joe into an even bigger loser than he already was. Samoa Joe has only won 2 pay-per-view matches in probably the last year. In the last year, Samoa Joe has probably only won 2 pay-per-view matches. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. I genuinely do not know what to think. I genuinely don't know what to think. I made myself a sandwich. That's how you know how much I fucking care about reviewing the last 2 matches on this shit show. We had Samoa Joe doing what Samoa Joe typically does. Kofi Kingston doing what Kofi Kingston typically does. We had Samoa Joe doing his typical power slam. Kofi Kingston doing his typical springboard crossbody. Samoa Joe rebound Kofi off the ropes, and Kofi Kingston hit one Trouble in Paradise. One Trouble in Paradise, and in less than 10 minutes, Kofi Kingston retains the WWE Championship over Samoa Joe. Kofi Kingston has realistically only had one good pay-per-view match as WWE Champion, and that was against Kevin Owens at Money in the Bank. That was legitimately the only good match and the only good title defense of his WWE Championship reign on pay-per-view. Everything else has been a fucking waste of time. Been a waste of time. And now all the members of the New Day are champions. How is this supposed to help with the ratings? How is this supposed to help generate interest? How is this supposed to help the main roster product in any way? It's not. The ratings are only going to sink lower and lower. I genuinely didn't even think it was possible, but they made Samoa Joe into an even bigger loser than he was before. And that fucking pains me. It pains me to say that Samoa Joe, a guy as great as Samoa Joe, is nothing more than a glorified 300-pound enhancement talent. You actually don't know how refreshing this Gatorade is. Just want to point that out there. Main event. Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Extreme Rules, winner-take-all mixed tag team match for the Raw Women's Championship and the Universal Championship. I'm not going to lie, this main event was actually a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I will give them credit. The main event was actually not that bad. And if they would have ended Extreme Rules on that note, then maybe it would have been just a little bit better. Just a little bit better. This wasn't a bad match whatsoever. I'm actually going to give credit to all 4 competitors. They did what they needed to do. We had Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch doing what they normally do. Becky Lynch hit a bulldog to Lacey Evans on a chair. We had Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. In the beginning of the match, they were actually on the receiving end of double kendo stick shots. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins each had kendo sticks, and they each beat the shit out of Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Midway through the match, we had Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin beating down Seth Rollins when they each had a kendo stick. They were each taking turns at beating down Seth Rollins with the kendo stick. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were able to get out some tables. They got out some tables, and they each put Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin on the tables. Lacey Evans was on the receiving end of a leg drop through the table by Becky Lynch, and then Seth Rollins jumped over Becky Lynch and did a frog splash to Baron Corbin through the table. That was actually a nice looking spot there. We then had Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins in the ring. Baron Corbin hit the deep 6 on Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins kicked out. Becky Lynch tried to get involved with Lacey Evans, or Lacey Evans actually tried to get involved, but Becky Lynch stopped her. Lacey Evans was tossed to the outside. Lacey Evans was taken out of the match. Baron Corbin, and I gotta give WWE credit for doing this spot, Baron Corbin hit the end of days on Becky Lynch. That was a fantastic touch. I will give them credit for that. That was a fantastic fucking touch that WWE did in that match. And then Baron Corbin said, "That's for you, you little piece of shit." He was talking to Seth Rollins there. And that right there fucking broke Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins absolutely fucking snapped. He took a kendo stick. He was beating the shit out of Baron Corbin, shot after shot with the kendo stick. He actually broke the kendo stick over Baron Corbin. Then Baron Corbin was on the receiving end of a couple of chair shots by Seth Rollins, and then 3 stomps later, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch retain their titles in the main event of Extreme Rules. It was actually a fairly good mixed tag team Extreme Rules match. I feel as though the Extreme Rules stipulation really helped that match, and I will give WWE credit for that. Little to no celebration as Brock Lesnar's music hit. Let me take a bite of my sandwich. Let me take another bite of my sandwich. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me get this straight. This is the first thing that I noticed. Seth Rollins was sitting in the ring, staring as Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman were coming out with a referee. Just staring there. You're staring at Brock Lesnar walking to the ring, and your first instinct is just to stand there like a fucking idiot. Meanwhile, there are weapons scattered around ringside. Why the fuck didn't Seth Rollins pick up a fucking weapon? Could have picked up a kendo stick, could have picked up a chair, to even the odds against Brock Lesnar after Seth Rollins just went through a 20-minute Extreme Rules mixed tag team match. But no, Seth Rollins just sits there with his eyes wide open, his biggest fucking sugar plums, and just waits for Brock Lesnar to come in, and then he starts to attack Brock Lesnar. 2 German suplex later, the bell rings, Brock Lesnar hits the F5 on Seth Rollins, and then boom. Brock Lesnar is once again the Universal Champion. Whoever supports this decision, I do not want to hear a fucking word out of you. Whoever supports this decision, you do not deserve the right to even talk about professional wrestling. Keep any professional wrestling related material out of your fucking mouths. You do not deserve to be associated with anything wrestling related. After everything that WWE did, built up Seth Rollins, having him win the Royal Rumble to take the title off of Brock Lesnar, only to give it right back to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank was one of the worst fucking decisions that WWE has ever made in the modern era. That was an absolute fucking spit in the face to all the competitors who broke their backs in that match, legitimately nearly killed each other in that match, and it was a spit to all the people who paid their money to sit in that arena and watch what WWE had to serve up. Complete spit in the face. Brock Lesnar is a 3-time Universal Champion. Really? Really? I ask. Really? Everyone else was going crazy. You know what I was doing? I was literally sitting in my seat just recording it for my vlog video. No reaction whatsoever. I did not even fucking react. And for those of you who are saying that Seth Rollins is a boring champion and all that, and he needs to lose the title, whose fault is that? Again, I ask. It's the same deal with Finn Balor. It's not Seth Rollins' fault. Seth Rollins should have gone on to SummerSlam to face either Drew McIntyre or Styles. Brock Lesnar, if he was to cash in, he should have lost. Brock Lesnar should be nowhere near a title picture. You don't need to have Brock Lesnar in a title picture. You do not need to have him competing for a title. You do not need to have him holding a title. Or even a Money in the Bank briefcase for that matter. Brock Lesnar and his appeal and his drawing power is no more. Brock Lesnar's not a draw anymore. People aren't watching to see Brock Lesnar. And if you are watching to see Brock Lesnar, you are a delusional, gullible son of a bitch, and WWE has you right in the palm of their hand. Brock Lesnar winning the Universal title. And, you know, I was actually surfing through Twitter, and I was actually came across a report from Brad Shepard. Now, again, I don't trust Brad Shepard, but from what the report read, I wouldn't even be surprised if WWE did this. WWE gave the title to Brock Lesnar because Seth Rollins has no SummerSlam opponent. Drew McIntyre? AJ Styles? Whose fault is that Seth Rollins has no SummerSlam opponent? Whose fault is that? That's WWE's fault. It's WWE's fault for putting Drew McIntyre in a shit storyline as Shane McMahon's lackey, and it's WWE's fault for putting AJ Styles in an undercard program when realistically he should have been competing for the fucking Universal Championship at SummerSlam against Seth Rollins. Makes no sense whatsoever. The thought pattern of this company is absolutely fucking pitiful. I legitimately don't even want to tune into Raw tonight, but I know I have to, because if I don't, then I'm not going to have the content that I need for the Lightning Flash update. Are we expecting anything different that we haven't already seen from Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live and Extreme Rules? Are we expecting anything different for SummerSlam? If you are, then you have to be, again, the most delusional son of a bitch walking the face of the planet. If you actually think that we're going to get any change based on what happened last night, you're delusional. There is no change coming. And if you try and defend the majority of what we say, if you try and defend this decision that we saw to close Extreme Rules, I swear to God, you do not deserve the rights to life. You don't. The world is going to be a better place without your fucking stupidity. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say about Extreme Rules. That has been the fucking rewind. Thank God. I can finally get out of here. If you haven't already done so, follow me on Twitter at Man of Infamy. Follow me on Instagram at TheDJStorms. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. We're going to try and get to 1,300 before the end of the month. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already done so. We're going to try and get this video to 10 thumbs up. I want you to hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best fucking time to be on YouTube. You can see my energy with these fucking announcements. Comment down below of which match that you like the most at Extreme Tools. If you missed the rewind for Fight for the Fallen, link will be in the description. Tomorrow's my 2-year anniversary. The 16 Storm stream will stream live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, with my guest being Tyson Arnold and Bree. No topics. It is a free-for-all. Anyone can ask us any questions that they want. Wednesday, I actually got a couple of fan interviews as well. Cody Conlon, shout out to him. I got him on a fan interview, and I actually got a couple more people on a fan interview. That will go up on Wednesday, as well as my Extreme Rules vlog. On Friday, July 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, me and Thunder will be going live on Twitter for the 3rd Thunder Scope live stream. He will be playing Strutter by Kiss. And then next week, he will be playing Black Diamond by Kiss on Friday, July 26th. And then on August 31st, 2019, it is the Wrestling Express meetup for AEW's All Out at Pub 46 in Clifton, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be there. Tom McGrogan will be there. Glenn Davidson will be there. You already know the drill as far as that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one and only DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind. I will catch you tonight. I'll be live tweeting for Monday Night Raw. I will catch you this Friday. Actually, no, not this Friday. I will catch you tomorrow for my 2-year anniversary on YouTube when we go live for the 16 Storm stream with Tyson Arnold and Bree.